Welcome to Health Club with Julia. I'm your host, health coach, and registered dietitian, Julia Campagna. I'm on a mission to bridge the gap between looking your best and living your life to the fullest. After years of over dieting, struggling with disordered eating, and destroying my social life, I finally found how to reach my dream physique without sacrificing the things I love. Now I'm sharing all my strategies and education with you. We'll be talking all things health, including hormones, metabolism, and lifestyle to help you cut out the confusion and start living. So get cozy and join the club. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Health Club with Julia podcast. As always, I am so happy you are here. Today's episode is going to be a good one. I feel like this relates to a lot of people. Have you ever, so question for you, raise your hand, what's the word I'm thinking of? Digital hand. I know I can't see anybody's hands, but you can do this for yourself. Raise your hand if you have ever said to yourself or thought, I am doing everything right, but I cannot lose weight. I am doing all the things. I am eating well, I'm eating less maybe. I am working out very frequently. I go to the gym all the time. I do a lot of cardio, I go for walks. I get my sleep in. I drink a lot of water. I am doing all the right things, but I cannot seem to lose weight. How many of you, again, raise your non-existent hand to me, if that has been you. I have dealt with this so many times with different clients or just talking to different people. The amount of times that I've heard this phrase, I'm doing everything and I can't seem to lose weight, or I'm at a plateau and I don't know how to continue weight loss, is crazy. I want to say almost everybody that I've talked to over the past however long I've been a coach, they've had this happen either currently or in the past. And it is wild how many people say these things. And so today I want to talk about weight loss resistance and what that is and how you can manage that to help you lose weight again in the future and get past a plateau. So I also want to start off by saying that you could have weight loss resistance, which I'll talk about what that is for sure. You definitely could, but I want you to really audit yourself and think about yourself for a minute. Are you actually doing everything right? Because a lot of times, if I have a client who says this and, they start the program and we just make some minor tweaks, it's kind of crazy how much can change just by some minor tweaks. So you might have issues going on. Yes, I don't want to not validate that for you. You might have something going on, yes. But sometimes this weight loss resistance could actually be your fault as well. And that's where I want to just give you some tough love right off the bat and say, check in with yourself. Are you actually doing everything that you need to be doing consistently? So, example, some people think that they're doing all the right things and they're eating really well and they're eating less. And then if I look into it more, or if we actually just talk about it deeper, they might be doing those things, but for 1 week or 2 weeks, and then they fall off again. 1 to 2 weeks of doing things really well is not going to help you lose weight long term. Similarly, they could be saying they eat really well, they don't eat anything bad, but then the weekend comes and they eat out 3 times a weekend. And then it's okay, well, you are actually eating more on the weekend, and so your average for the whole week might be more than you actually think it is. So those are just 2 examples, but really just check in with yourself and see, are you doing what you need to be doing every single day? Or maybe not as much as you think, and are you consistent with those things? So that's where I would start first and foremost before even going into this whole weight loss resistance thought and kind of rabbit hole. So just wanted to give that right off the bat. But let's go into weight loss resistance, what it is, how you can manage it so that you can overcome this and continue to lose weight in the future. So first things first, what is weight loss resistance? Weight loss resistance is kind of exactly how it sounds, your body just being resistant to weight loss. So there's metabolic imbalances going on where you just can't lose weight. So that could include things like stress or adrenal fatigue. It could be a result of insulin resistance. It could be from an underactive thyroid, chronic dieting. It could be diabetes related, it could be gut dysbiosis related. So there could be a lot of different things going on that's causing this weight loss resistance. And it could be a combination of those things, but it's some sort of metabolic imbalance that's going on with you that is causing you to not be able to lose weight. So going to give you some examples. So we'll talk about the stress adrenal one for a second. So cortisol in our body, it's a hormone. We have cortisol. This is kind of our stress hormone, if you will. It's our stress response. And this regulates how much sugar or glucose and fat gets either stored or used in the body. So we eat food, some of it gets used for activities and everyday functions, some of it gets stored for later use. So cortisol can help regulate that. So if we have increased stress, that can increase blood sugar, and having this chronically elevated, so elevated a lot if you're chronically stressed, if you have adrenal fatigue, this can lead to insulin resistance because of this increased blood sugar, and that can lead to high inflammation, which can lead to weight loss resistance. So that is one way that you can see weight loss resistance through stress, adrenal fatigue going on. Another example that I can give you is with insulin resistance. So with insulin resistance, again, that's how it sounds. Your body's resistant to the insulin being pumped out, and that is a blood sugar issue going on within the body. And if you have this, it lets blood sugar, we let blood sugar into our cells for energy. If we have too much going on and our body's resistant to the insulin to help manage that blood sugar, it can cause the pancreas to release more insulin to deal with it, and the body then becomes resistant to that, and so you're resistant to this insulin, and that can again cause inflammation and other issues which can cause weight loss resistance as well. Third example I'll give you is with an underactive thyroid. So with an underactive thyroid, our thyroid manages our metabolism, right? So this is what helps us regulate metabolism. So if our metabolic rate decreases, that can cause us to gain weight. So if we have an underactive thyroid, our metabolic rate decreases, it can cause weight gain, and it could be a lot harder to then lose that weight as well. So that is another example. So those are 3 examples of how these metabolic imbalances can affect weight loss resistance. But basically, again, it is metabolic imbalances or a combination of a few things that cause you to not be able to lose weight. Your body's resistant to this weight loss because of other factors going on. So that's what it is. So great. You might have one of these things, and you're finding that no matter what you do, you cannot seem to lose weight. You're just feeling stuck, you're at a plateau, nothing's changing, and you don't know what to do at this point because you're like, I've tried everything and the scale is not moving, I'm not losing weight, I'm not losing body fat, and I just feel at a loss right now. So how do we manage that so that you can overcome this weight loss resistance and continue to lose weight and get past this plateau that you're feeling, or, not feel stuck anymore? So there's a few things that I want to discuss on how to manage it. Number 1, and the most important thing to do first, is determine your root issue, and then that'll also tell you what needs to be prioritized first. So just don't go all willy-nilly, oh, I'm going to try all these different things and hope that one helps. No, actually get to the root issue that you personally are experiencing. I gave a lot of different reasons why weight loss resistance can be happening. Doesn't mean that you have all those different things. Doesn't mean you have an underactive thyroid and insulin resistance and adrenal fatigue and diabetes, and no. So don't just try to fix one of those issues if you don't have it. So the first thing to do is figure out what your specific rooted issue is. You can do this through lab work, getting testing done, working with a practitioner to help you navigate what the deeper rooted issue is. So I would absolutely get tests done to determine what's going on. Do a full thyroid panel. Do some sex hormone testing. Do some overall blood lipid panels and see what's going on. Do you have any inflammation? Check your CRP, what's going on with that. Just do some blood work to get to the bottom of what's actually going on. I always say blood work is data points for you. So the more data points that you have, the better picture you can see about what's going on with you. So first things first, get to your specific rooted issue through labs. And if you need to, working with a practitioner to help navigate said labs and figure out what's going on, because that will tell you what is most important and what needs to be prioritized and healed first for you. So that is number one. Figure out what even is the issue for you. If you don't know what the issue is, you can't then move forward with different protocols to help said issue. So we got to start with the problem, figure out what the problem is, and then we can solve that problem. So that's number one. But the rest of the things I'm going to talk about are like more, I guess for lack of a better term, mainstream things that you can work on to help with weight loss resistance. Again, the more data points you have, the more specific they are going to be for you and the more specific protocols that you can have. So if you are dealing with this, reach out to me on Instagram, DM me, let's talk about it so we can get to your root thing that's going on with you. But the rest of these things are just like mainstream things that can help pretty much anybody that's going through this stuff. Again, it's not super specific because there's a million different root causes with more specificities depending on what your root cause is. But I do want to give you guys some things that you can start working on now that should help with that. And again, you might need more specifics based on what's going on with you. But let's go over some of these more mainstream things that you need to make sure are in check and you are consistent with them as well. Again, keyword there is consistent. You can't just work on these things for a week or two and hope that everything's going to be okay and all is well and you figured out what your problem is. No, you need to be super consistent with these day after day, week after week, year after year. These things need to be consistent. So starting with your nervous system regulation. In other words, stress management. I have talked about stress management probably on like every single podcast episode I've ever done, but that just goes to show how important it is and how overlooked it is. You need to work on regulating your nervous system. Stress impacts so many different functions in the body, and if you are chronically stressed, it's going to wreak havoc. It's going to cause problems. So one thing that I always suggest clients of mine do that's super, super easy to do, you don't need any equipment, you just need yourself and you can do it anywhere, anytime, and it is also super, super effective, is belly breaths. Or people call it box breathing, whichever way you want to go about it, deep breaths. What I mean by that, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to actually watch me like act out the act of belly breaths, but I will do my best to just describe it for the Spotify, Apple listeners here. But basically, it's super, super simple. All you're going to want to do is breathe in through your nose, deep, deep breath, fill your lungs, fill your belly, actually expand, like feel your belly expand and breathe in that air as deep as you can. So you breathe that in through your nose, you hold that for like 5 to 8 seconds, however long you can hold that for. Hold it for a bit of time and then breathe out through your mouth. And like I actually love the like actually breathing that out. So that is kind of the act of doing it. In through the nose, hold for 5, 8, 10 seconds, however long you can hold it for, and breathe out through the mouth. That is the cycle that you go through. Now, some other tips with this that I really enjoy doing when I am doing this is closing your eyes if you can. If you're in a public space, if you're just not alone in your room, in your house, or wherever, and you can't close your eyes, that's totally fine. But if you can, I would suggest closing your eyes. I don't know, it just kind of elevates the experience a bit more. So try to close your eyes if you can. And if you are closing your eyes, or even if you are not, I guess you could do this too, but if you're closing your eyes, think about the third eye, or that space in between pretty much your eyebrows, like right at your forehead. Think about that space and channel all of your energy to that space in your forehead. Really just focus on that space as you're doing this breath. And then when you're breathing out, I think about draining that space. Closing my eyes helps me visualize this a bit more, but that's just a way to elevate the breathing itself. It changes so much for me if I'm just like doing the breath work, which still effective, still works. But if I close my eyes and think about that space and really releasing tension from that space, I feel like it's elevated so much more. So that's just a tip on doing that. But that is one thing that you can do. Again, no equipment, all you need is yourself, and you can do it anywhere, anytime. I like to do it in cycles of like 5 to 6 breaths. If I'm really, really stressed, I'll go up to 10 breaths at a time, but I do that as many times as I need throughout the day. For people and clients who are highly stressed, I suggest doing it at least 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, night. If you're not and you just need some release, do it whenever you feel overwhelmed and need that release, but that's a very, very easy and super effective one that you can do. Other things to regulate your nervous system is getting out for a walk, getting out in sunshine, doing some grounding work outside, working on your circadian rhythm. So getting up, getting some light in, and I don't mean light from your phone, but like natural light in, working on nighttime hygiene, just all the things that kind of make you feel calm and at peace and not super stressed. That is so important. So that would be my number 1 tip, is work on nervous system regulation / stress management every single solitary day, and make that a priority for yourself. The second thing that I would talk about with helping to manage weight loss resistance is your sleep. And again, this one I have said multiple times in multiple different podcasts, but is also overlooked, highly overlooked. People just, when I say work on your sleep, I think people just kind of brush that off, and they'll go back to scrolling on their phone from 9 to 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m., sometimes even later. Some people are doom scrollers and they scroll until like 11:30, 12 p.m. and then try to get to sleep and then wake up at 6:30, 7 o'clock and they're like, I'm so tired. I'm like, okay, well, I wonder why. I wonder why you're super tired. But sleep definitely helps with your cortisol levels as well, and so many other functions in the body. So you need to be making sure that you are getting sleep. And not only hours, but also making sure your sleep is quality sleep. So if you are getting 8 hours of sleep, but you're waking up throughout the night, you don't feel like you're ever getting deep sleep, you're waking up super tired, your quality is probably shit. So both matter, hours and quality. Quantity and quality matter with your sleep. To help with quality, make sure that you have good sleep hygiene or nighttime hygiene. And what I mean by that is not taking a shower and smelling good. I mean the routines that you have at night. So instead of doom scrolling for an hour and a half or binge watching TV forever, try to get your body in a calm state. Again, going back to that nervous system regulation, try to get your body in a calm state so that you are getting more quality sleep. So, for example, for me, I have a hard cutoff time of like 9:15 p.m. All electronics are off, TV's off. If it's like a Friday, Saturday, and I don't have to wake up early, I set that back a little bit. I can do like 9:30, but like 10 p.m., I don't even feel like I remember the last time I was up until 10 p.m. Unless I'm out with friends or have an event to go to, then yeah. But on a regular every day, I am not awake at 10 p.m. I have a hard cutoff time for me. I try to get off my phone and turn off the TV by 9, especially during the week. I wake up at like 5 a.m. So I need to be asleep early. So my hard cutoff time is like 9:15. And I love it. And it feels so much better. I always get great sleep. But that is just one thing. Try not to eat super close to bed. Again, like food rules wise, you can eat after 7 p.m., but I wouldn't suggest having a meal and then going right into bed and going to sleep. That can cause some sleep disturbances, so you'll want to eat a little bit before you go to bed. Try to have your last meal like at least an hour before you plan on going to sleep. So that's another part of sleep hygiene, and actual hygiene too, like brush your teeth, wash your face if you need to, if that is something that you like to do. Just make sure whatever you're doing at night is preparing you for better sleep. If you eat a meal right away, then go lay in bed and you scroll all night, you're not going to get good sleep. So you need to work on your sleep hygiene as well. If you need to use like magnesium, that's totally fine. You can do that. 300 milligrams nightly can help with sleep. Tart cherry juice can help with sleep. I know that that's been a trend as of recently. Sleepy Girl mocktail or something it's called. So whatever you do, work on your sleep hygiene and make sure that you are preparing your body for good sleep. Simple. It's a very simple one to do, but a lot of people overlook that and they wonder why they're so tired in the morning and not getting great sleep, and that affects a lot. So that would be number 2. Number 3 is going along with nutrients. So obviously nutrition plays a role in how you lose weight and really do anything, but with weight loss resistance, it's really important to make sure that you are taking care of the nutrients that you're giving your body. So some things to think about. Number 1, anti-inflammatory diet. Adopting more of like a Mediterranean style diet, less processed foods. Again, I had a podcast episode. It's my last Q&A episode that I did recently. I want to say it's episode like maybe 20, no, not 22, 42, something like that. It's a nutrition Q&A. And I talk about levels of processed foods. So lowering your processed foods, lowering ultra processed foods, having most of your food and meals be made up of whole food sources, that's going to be ideal. Having healthy fats, protein, lots of protein, fruits and vegetables, variety, different colors, just trying to adopt an anti-inflammatory diet, limiting alcohol, caffeine, anything that's going to cause inflammation for you. And if you have any food sensitivities, that as well. But adopting a whole food, healthy diet. Going along with that is also high quality foods. So again, that goes in hand with whole foods, limiting your processed, ultra processed foods that you are consuming, having that make up the minimum amount of your diet, if not at all. I mean, you can definitely have things in a package. I'm not saying not at all, but like ultra processed foods, maybe cutting those out as much as possible. And again, relying mostly on whole food sources in your diet. Again, limiting alcohol, that I already mentioned. And then this one, might not like the sound of this, but if you are having weight loss resistance, you might want to temporarily eliminate foods that can cause issues. So potentially reducing gluten and dairy temporarily. Now that is not to say that you have to go gluten-free, dairy-free forever, but those generally cause issues for people and can make it harder to get past this weight loss resistance. So temporarily, you might want to adopt more of a gluten-free, dairy-free diet. If you need help understanding how to do that, I would definitely work with a practitioner on that. But this can help temporarily. Again, then you'll want to reintroduce foods at a slower rate, but reintroduce foods as you feel like you are healing from this weight loss resistance. But that is something that not everybody needs to do. Not everybody needs to go gluten-free, dairy-free, but can be helpful temporarily to do. So that is the nutrient side of it. The next thing I would say is movement and exercise, but be cautious not to overtrain. It's very easy to overtrain for a lot of people. They think doing more is always better, and that's not always the case. And we want to make sure, again, especially if your weight loss resistance is stemming from stress and adrenal fatigue, you want to make sure that you are not overtraining. Also very important for like thyroid health, hormone health as well. So yes, you want to get in daily movement every single day. Now, when I say daily movement, I don't mean going to the gym every single day. I mean just getting up and getting moving daily. That could be getting to the gym here and there throughout the week. That could be getting in some extra cardio, whether that's a run, elliptical, Stairmaster, it could be anything like that. But it also could just be yoga, stretching, moving your body in different stretches, walking outside, getting outside for fresh air, and getting in a light walk. And I don't mean walking for 6 miles. I mean just even going on a quick 10-20 minute walk 1-2 times a day. So daily movement you want to do, but you don't want to overtrain. So don't overdo any HIIT cardio, any high intensity cardio. Don't overdo it on like super intense lifting where you're lifting to failure every single time. That can cause some inflammation in the body as well. So don't overtrain. Don't do too much, but you want to get in some movement daily. And also, just side note with that, so I was basically talking about different ways that you can move in terms of exercise. So I mentioned strength training, doing some cardio, yoga, getting on walks. Those are all like planned things, but daily movement can also be just moving naturally as well. So just like doing chores, washing the dishes, folding laundry, just getting up and not sitting. I mean, again, I am somebody who sits at my desk pretty much all day long. I am on my laptop, but I try to get up, get moving, stand every now and then as well. So if you are somebody who, works that typical like 9 to 5, or you're sitting down all day, just be conscious of maybe standing up every 30 minutes to an hour, just simply getting up and stretching while you're standing at your desk. Just doing more natural movement throughout the day as well. So it doesn't have to be like planned exercise that you're going to do, just making sure you're getting your body moving more naturally. Then the next thing I want to talk about is supplements. So again, I mentioned this at the beginning when I was talking about how to manage this. This goes in hand with supplements as well. So these are going to be more like mainstream supplements that could benefit majority of people, but you might need different supplements depending on specificity for yourself. So it's going to be easier for me to say, do this or that with supplements if I know what's going on with you more specifically. But again, the ones that I'm going to suggest are just ones that most people can take because it won't harm them and could have benefits for them. So just keep that in mind. These aren't specific ones. These are just ones that have benefits for majority of people. So number one being vitamin D. This is a vitamin that does have a lot of deficiencies for a lot of people. So this one is a common deficiency, especially if you are living in places that are not warm year round, where it's sunny all the time, especially for those of you who live in areas like that. It is common to have a vitamin D deficiency. So I would suggest taking one. Have it with a vitamin K to increase absorption, but try to get a vitamin D in that can help. A multivitamin can help as well. Now, not all multivitamins are created equally, so just be aware. And if you want my recommendations, feel free to DM me and I can send you recommendations for a multivitamin. But again, that is just a mainstream one that can have benefits. It's nothing specific, but that can help with overall deficiencies as well. So a multivitamin. And then the third one that I would suggest is a EPA DHA, so fish oil, anything like that. You want to look for a fish oil that has an EPA DHA ratio of 2:1. So that is the ideal ratio. Trying to have it be at least 500 milligrams. So that would be my two caveats with a fish oil, EPA DHA. So ratio and the amount, but that can be beneficial for a lot of people as well. So those would be my top 3. There's other ones that I could list out, but again, it'll be more specific for those who know what's going on more specifically. So again, let me know if you need more specifics. I can definitely talk to you about supplements. But again, don't want to overkill with supplements. Want to work on other things in your life as well. And also a side note too, if you are taking a vitamin D and a multivitamin, and if you are hypothyroid, if you're on any thyroid medication, just watch interactions with vitamin D and multivitamin with your thyroid medication. So always check with your doctor on that. But side note on that. But those are some supplements that I would suggest that benefit the majority of people. Again, more specifics, let me know and I can talk to you about that. And the last thing I want to say with weight loss resistance is simply just changing things up. If you do the same things on repeat every single day, your body gets used to that. Sometimes you just need a change up, and that can help spurt more weight loss for you. So if you are eating the same exact things, same breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks every single day, day after day after day, week after week after week, and it's always the same, try switching even just 1 or 2 things in your diet, and you could see a change overall with weight loss. So sometimes your body just needs a different stimulus to create change, and so that's why we want to change things up every now and then. So in terms of training, no, you don't want to switch things up every single week, every single day, but after a few weeks, you can change things up, create a different stimulus. Even if you're doing the same training for a few weeks in a row, I do my training for 6 to 8 weeks at a time, I'm still progressing within that training session. So I'm still creating a stimulus by doing different things, different modalities, doing more weight or less rest, etc. There's a million things that you can do with changing up training, but change things up in all areas of cardio, training, nutrition, different patterns that you're doing. Just try to change things up, create different stimulus for your body to make change. So that would be my last suggestion for you. But those are a bunch of different ways that you can help manage it. Again, go back going back to step one being figure out what the root issue is for yourself, that is going to be most important to see what is actually going on with you so that you can have specific protocols to help with whatever that issue is and help you push past weight loss resistance. So that's what I would suggest first and foremost.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Health Club with Julia podcast. If you love the episode, share the podcast and tag me, and subscribe so you don't miss any further episodes. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM. Thanks for being a part of the club. See you next time.